Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beyond the Sideline podcast, a podcast where we talk about the latest sports stories going on in the sports world today and give our opinions as fans watching our teams play from beyond the sideline. We have a very special and fun episode here today, as just 15 minutes ago, the MLB trade deadline has closed. Now, that doesn't mean trades still can't come through. As long as teams made a trade before that 3 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Pacific deadline, trades can still be finalized. So, as this episode goes on, there might be a big trade that happens. We will break that news. This episode, as we are recording, 3:15 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. This episode will go live in less than 24 hours, 2 p.m. Pacific on Friday. So, it's cool to be kind of some of the first people really talking about it, and we'll be some of the first
Mhm.
people out there tomorrow giving our live reactions. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I love it. Should be a very exciting record, and it's a very exciting time in baseball. It's been a fantastic trade deadline this year, so excited to talk about all of it.
Yeah, we were just talking before we hit record that yesterday there were so many big trades that happened, and you would assume that yesterday was the trade deadline with how teams were moving players around, but it was actually today. And today, although there have been some really big trades, there's been less. It's been a bit quieter in terms of the amount of trades, but the size of the trades have, I mean, just only grown. And I mean, with that, let's just start with I'd say one of the biggest moves of the trade deadline so far, if I can find it. Bear with me. I am scrolling through. Okay, here it is. The Diamondbacks are trading infielder Eugenio Suarez to the Seattle Mariners. That was possibly the biggest trade to start kind of this trade deadline. I mean, you had guys like Sir Anthony Dominguez getting traded, Andrew Chaffin, Austin Slater is going to your Yankees, Tyler Rogers to the Mets. But I think this Eugenio Suarez one was probably, it's arguably the biggest trade so far of the deadline. And I know you, as a Yankees fan, hoped you could get Eugenio, but now he is sticking in the West. He's going to the AL West from the NL West, going to the Mariners, my division rival. I hate, but I mean, what do you think about this move for the Mariners? Does this mean that they're actually pushing to make the playoffs? Is this their kind of last ditch effort to stick in the wild card race with, now the Astros making the moves, the Rangers are on a hot streak right now. What does this trade mean for the Seattle Mariners?
I really like it for them. It's funny, they made kind of two big moves this deadline, and they got both corner infielders from the Diamondbacks. Josh Naylor to have it first, Eugenio Suarez to put at third base. And now you have, between Suarez and Cal Raleigh, you got two out of the top three home run hitters in baseball on the same team in the same infield. That's pretty exciting. I think for me, because the AL is still kind of wide open, I like it. I think you can't say that they're not a contender for the AL pennant now. They're up there in that kind of tier, maybe 1B, with a bunch of those teams in the AL. And I think what makes them so dangerous to me for a playoff run is because they have that top end starting pitching that they've always had, with Gilbert and Brian Wu and guys like that. But now they actually have a solid, really deep lineup with Naylor and Suarez and Raleigh and J Rod and all those guys. So I think it's a lot to be excited about if you're a Mariners fan. I don't think they're my favorite. They might be. I think they're top five in the AL. I don't think this pushes me as, okay, they're one of the teams. Like I would pick them, but they definitely got closer. I mean, right now they're still fighting for that third wild card spot. I think I have more faith in them to make the playoffs now for sure. Not necessarily make the World Series, but it was a good deadline for them for sure.
Yeah, Eugenio Suarez goes back to Seattle after spending 1.5 years with the Diamondbacks. This year, he is averaging 248 batting average. He has 36 home runs, 87 RBIs, uh, 32 or 320 OBP, 576 slugging, 897 OPS. So he's been having a pretty solid season so far. And yeah, I mean, like you said, you got Josh Naylor now, Cal Raleigh. You got some big bats, both,
Yeah,
I mean, metaphorically and physically. I mean,
yeah,
you got a guy whose nickname is the Big Dumper. I mean, you are big in
yes,
Seattle, and
definitely.
yeah, if I'm a Seattle fan, I am so happy right now and like very high on this team to do greatness. Um, you got Eugenio Suarez who can literally possibly get a home run almost once a series at this point. I mean, he
Yeah,
has the potential to do that. So, and then you have Cal
yeah. He
Raleigh.
got 53 home runs over his last 162 games. I mean, he's that kind of a power hitter. He is. I think he already has 35 home runs this year. He's the in terms of anybody who's ever gotten traded at a deadline or before in a season, he got the most home runs to have ever been traded mid-season. That's kind of fun. Kind of
That
fun for the Mariners.
No, yeah, and you got Cal Raleigh, he's leading the league in home runs right now, or is he second?
Yeah, leading.
Okay, yeah, I
He's
mean
already at 40, I think, which
oh
is
my gosh,
insane.
I mean you got some power hitters on
Yeah,
this team. So now a team that was once like kind of seen as middle of the road, like they can push for a wild card, but if we play them, we can probably get it done. Just got to stay locked in. But now you're gonna go up against them. You kind of have to pitch a near perfect game. You throw anything that's just slightly off, that's gonna get sent into the concourse with the
hmm
way this lineup is going to be shaping out for the
yeah,
Mariners.
definitely. And I would say that this pushes them to probably be favorites in the AL West. But the Astros, I think, actually had a bigger deadline than the Mariners. So I can't. I don't think I can even say that.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the Astros now. I mean, they got just talking about all the guys they got. They got Jesus Sanchez from the Marlins. You get Carlos Correa back
Yeah, yeah,
from the Twins, which is wild. He's
unreal.
like he is definitely going to be play a big role in the way this Astros team plays out the rest of this season. And he played a big part in all of their playoff runs that he was with, even that World Series run back in 2017. Like he is, when you think of the Astros, you either think of Jose Altuve or Carlos Correa. And
Yeah,
now that he's back, I mean, he is Mr. Astro, if you will.
yeah, he really is. And I mean, the salary that they traded. I mean, he has a $200 million deal that goes along through I think at least 2028. Yeah, a 6 year, $200 million deal through 2028. So now like three club options. Uh, he's eventually going to be an Astro for life at this point, kind of, which it felt like he was always going to be, and then he goes to the Twins, and it's okay, but now he's back to being Mr. Astro, like you were saying. So I kind of like that full circle. But because he had that big contract, the Astros didn't really have to give anything up for him. It was just basically a salary dump from the Twins' perspective, which I did not expect the Twins to be in salary dump mode. I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I just saw comments on the post about the move with Carlos Correa, and someone said, "Do the Twins even have any more players on their roster? Like they
Yeah,
seem they're just dumping house. They're
yeah.
cleaning house." Uh,
It's really crazy. I just saw a tweet that had broken down. Oh gosh, let me see if I can find it. But it broke down exactly who the Twins traded, and it was, I mean, five different bullpen guys, and Correa now your biggest guy. They traded the utility guy. Was it Rosario? I think. It's crazy. Like they got rid of their entire team.
Yeah, I just looked up Twins on Twitter in a post 11 minutes ago. These are players that have been traded away by the Twins at the MLB trade deadline. This is just in general. This isn't like specific to this season. You have Carlos Correa, Johan Duran, Harrison Bader, Brock Stewart, Chris Paddock, Danny Colombi, Will Castro, Griffin Jacks, Louis Varlin, Ty France, Randy Dobnik. I mean, what are you a
That's
minor league
crazy.
team now?
I mean, it's insane because coming into the year, the Twins were a someone who could totally win that division is what people thought. Here we go. They traded 10 players just this year from their 26-man roster. Louis Varlin, Griffin Jacks, Ty France, Carlos Correa, Colomb, Willie Castro, Brock Stewart, Johan Duran, Harrison Bader, and Chris Paddock. I mean, that's almost half of your roster that you lose over the last couple of days. Now they are like a minor league team. Like you're right, Angel. I mean, it's crazy for a team that had legitimate expectations coming into the year, and they were this close away from trading away Joe Ryan too. I don't know if you saw that tweet that Fox Sports put out and then immediately deleted it.
Yeah.
Looked for a second like he was going to the Red Sox, but it's crazy. I mean, they're a totally new team now, the Twins, and they just set themselves back. I mean, like they're basically in a full rebuild now, which I don't think anyone would have expected anything close to that coming into this year.
Speaking of kind of rebuilds and selling, we got another trade just came in minutes ago. We're gonna be jumping around this episode, but I think it's kind of fun. The Giants are dealing outfielder Mac Yastrzemski to the Royals. That I mean, a guy who was hitting like over 300 for the first month and a half of the season, now being traded to Kansas City, who is young and ready to win. I mean, the Giants are. I don't know what the Giants are doing. You traded Tyler Rogers. Where I don't get this.
It's weird because the Giants right now are kind of in the middle. Like it felt before, going into I don't know at 2:30 today, right? 30 minutes between the deadline. It felt like the Giants were still, in it. They had gotten a couple relievers. They're certainly standings wise, absolutely in the playoff race. But within the last 15 minutes of the deadline, you trade away Doval, your closer effectively, and Yastrzemski, and all of a sudden it's like they're in soft sell mode. I don't know what that tells the guys that are still there. Like I don't know what that tells the guys still on your roster. That's tough because you want to still compete this year, which I think they're still trying to compete this year, but they're not all in, which is I don't know. It's a weird in between land for the Giants.
Yeah, and I mean, sticking with the Giants, they've also now traded Camilo Doval to your Yankees. I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a huge move. As if a powerhouse couldn't grow any bigger. The Yankees are buying when they don't need to be buying.
Are we ready? Okay, I'm ready to talk some Yankees deadline.
Yeah, we can go to the Yankees.
What a deadline! Like, oh my god! So coming in, and we said it when Mac was on the pod last episode. My wish list was I'd love 3 pitchers, whether it's relievers or starters. We need arms. I want 3 pitchers, 2 of which have to be high-end bullpen guys, and then a third baseman, and ideally a backup shortstop because Volpe's been so bad. And what do the Yankees go out and do? They get 3 relievers, 2 of which who are incredible, could be closers, and Camilo Doval and David Bednar, who were closers at their teams effectively and had great years. And then you get Jake Bird from the Rockies, who's got awesome stuff and is now a very reliable middle reliever. You get Ryan McMahon to shore up third base. He's been fantastic so far in the week that he's been a Yankee. Just what they needed. Another nice left-handed, bat, got some pop, and just really good defensive third. And then you get 2 guys in Ahmed Rosario, who's just a really solid utility piece. You upgrade from Oswaldo Peraza, who's now an Angel, and you get Jose Caballero from the Rays, who just walked across from one dugout to another about 30 minutes ago because they're playing each other right now, and he's your backup shortstop. He leads the American League in steals. He got 34 already this year, and he's going to put some pressure on Anthony Volpe now, who's been really struggling this year. So, I mean, in my mind, the Yankees addressed just about every single need. I would have loved a starting pitcher, but I think they did so much in the bullpen that they're going to have enough now. They're going to have enough pitching, which is just huge. And they did a lot. I think they did a lot more than I thought they would. So I think, they've been struggling the last month and a half or so. I think they're back in that tier one American League contenders right now, which is just so exciting.
Yeah, this is updated as of today, I believe. In terms of the wild card race, the Yankees are fourth in AL playoff position. They are roughly, let's say, about 2.5 games behind, I believe, of the Houston Astros. They are 3 games ahead in the wild card race as a whole. But as it stands now, if the playoffs were to start, you'd be facing the Red Sox.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. After everything that is going on right now in the deadline, Red Sox are making moves too. They just got Dustin May just like 10 minutes ago, it was reported. I mean, this has been a crazy deadline. Griffin Jacks from the Twins now going to the Rays for Taj Bradley. So yeah, the Twins are cleaning house. The Orioles have been kind of cleaning house as well. I mean, you got Cedric Mullins going to the Mets.
Yeah. Crazy.
That is crazy. Now you can argue that is the biggest trade. I mean, there's multiple trades that you can argue are the biggest. I mean, what do you value more? Do you think Carlos Correa going back to the Astros is a bigger get than, I mean, Johan Duran going to the Phillies because the Phillies really needed a closer? Or do you think Cedric Mullins loading up with the Mets to help out Juan Soto, Lindor, and all the guys, and Pete Alonso, all the guys there is just so much going on.
It's nuts. And one thing we haven't even mentioned yet, one team and one trade, the Padres, probably the most active team out of anyone this deadline. And this is certainly in contention for the biggest deal of the deadline. When early this morning, they got Mason Miller and J.P. Sears from the A's for the third best prospect in baseball in Leo DeVries, a shortstop for who was in the Padres system. I mean, that's insane too. Now the Padres went. There's going all in, and then there's what the Padres did this deadline, which is completely retool. I mean, they got both guys. Speaking of the Orioles, they got 2 guys from the Orioles and Ryan O'Hearn, all-star Ryan O'Hearn, and Ramon Laureano to shore up their outfield. They got a catcher from the Royals and Freddie Fermin. Insane, absolutely insane. In addition, obviously, to Mason Miller and J.P. Sears, and they kept Suarez and Cease. They kept Dylan Cease. Everyone thought after they got J.P. Sears, they were going to trade away Cease and try and get some guys back in their farm system, but they said, nope, screw the farm system. We're going all in this year.
Yeah, I heard Mason Miller was kind of the talk of the town at this deadline. He was kind of the sweepstake guy. In every sport, there's always a guy who is in the sweepstakes, whether it's in the offseason or at the trade deadline. I think the Nationals were interested at one point. There was talks of the Yankees and Dodgers getting involved, but ultimately the Padres won the Mason Miller sweepstakes, and the full trade being Jason Miller and J.P. Sears to the Padres for DeVries, Brandon Nett, Henry Baez, and Nunez. So, pretty big trade. The biggest trade in terms of quantity so far, as all the other trades are still being processed. We don't know the full details of all the trades, but if one of them comes through, while we are recording, we will obviously announce that. One of the trades, or the trade I'm waiting on to hear, is Oswaldo Peraza to the Angels. My Angels.
Oh,
That was the biggest
I
one.
actually I know who the Yankees got back from that.
Okay.
It was a minor league outfield prospect, Wilberson DePena.
Okay, don't know
I
who
have
he
not
is.
heard of him. Yeah, I have not heard of him. And then international pool money as well.
Okay.
So pretty much a pure dump. I mean, the Yankees have had kind of a weirdly strange relationship with Peraza. I think he was the top prospect. They kind of refused to trade him away for some big names for a long time. But then when he was up over the last couple of years, they never really gave him run. And then this year he kind of finally got some extended playing time and was a great glove. I mean, this is a guy who could win a Gold Glove at third base and can still play a pretty darn good shortstop as well. But the bat just has never really showed up. He was probably the worst qualified hitter in Major League Baseball this year. But that doesn't mean now that he's in a more stable environment and the lights aren't on him quite as much. I could see him, if he develops into a guy who's got like an 80 OPS plus with the Angels, he's going to be like a 3-WAR player because his glove is that good. So I think there's definitely some upside. And for the Yankees, they needed a clear room on the roster. They ended up getting 7 major league players this deadline. So they needed to clear some space on the roster and kind of end the Peraza saga once and for all. But I like it for both teams.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you said the that we gave up a minor league prospect, I was like, please don't let it be Latre. Don't trade him
That would be
already.
funny.
That would have been funny. For those who haven't listened to the latest episode, the most recent episode of the pod, not including this one, that we did with Mac, Latre McCollum, outfielder for UC Santa Barbara. He was a stud in his senior year. Mr. Cycle broke the school record for on base streak. I think it was close to 50. It was like 48,
Yeah, like
49.
something like that. Might have
Um,
been 52. Might have been 50. Might have gone
it
past
might have
50.
it might have been past 50. Yeah, I mean, have to go back and check, but yeah, he was definitely a fun player to watch for the 1 year I got to watch him. He's now an undrafted free agent for the Angels, but yeah, the Angels. I like Oswald Peraza when he kind of first started out with the Yankees, but he's definitely been struggling this so far this season. But I mean, I don't know. The Angels, the thing is with the Angels, when they get these guys, the last couple deadlines, they usually do decent or they just do absolutely nothing to help. So I feel like this is going to be one of those years where everyone we get is going to help and bring us hope to make a push for the wild card. But then come like late August, we are just going to tank.
Yeah, that does sound pretty Angels of you guys. But hey, who knows? Could be different. Could put some things together. But yeah, I don't think the Angels really did enough to kind of keep pace with all of these AL teams. That I think we've been talking kind of the whole year, the whole baseball season about how the top of the AL was pretty weak and wide open. And, besides maybe the Yankees or the Tigers, the Blue Jays of late, like no AL team really got you excited like a bunch of these NL teams get you excited. But I think after the deadline, things really shifted. Like I think
Oh
the
yeah.
AL is now, there was a pretty clear separation. Teams went so hardcore into sell mode that there's now it's now a little more top heavy. Now you can point to the Astros, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Mariners, maybe the Rangers, maybe the Red Sox, and there's a clear, like that. I think there's probably a 1A and a 1B within those 6 teams, and then I think there's a pretty significant drop off now, which we didn't really have until today.
Yeah. I remember seeing a report a few days ago that Rob Manfred was in the Phillies clubhouse and Bryce
Yep.
Harper was yelling at him about something related to like a salary cap. And
Yep.
I mean, look at all the trades that are happening now. I mean, you're getting the Mets are buying, the Yankees are buying, and the Astros are buying. Like all these top teams are buying, and in no other sport can you do that, especially like the NBA with the second apron. Teams are struggling to try to keep players together. There's reports of the Nuggets possibly losing Jokic just because of they don't want to be in that second apron. But in the MLB, you can go and get as many guys as you want. You can have Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, and Otani all on the same team if you wanted to. Like it feels like I'm playing a video game.
Yeah, no, I agree. That story was pretty crazy about Harper and Manfred getting into it. But I do think that's what makes baseball so great. Like
Oh yeah,
the fact that teams really can it's good for the game. And teams like the Padres who, just have an owner who wants to go for it and has a GM in Preller who says, even though we're in second place right now, third place maybe even behind the Giants. I don't know. I think they're relatively close. But even though we're not in first place in our own division, we're just a wild card team. Like there's no salary cap. Let's go for it. Let's take big swings. The Astros can say, let's take on $170 million out of the $200 million on Correa's contract because we want to go all in. I think it's great. I think if anything, a salary floor would work in baseball. I don't want a cap, so I think it's really exciting what's going on.
yeah. I mean, if you aren't going to implement a cap, I feel like adding a bigger luxury tax might kind of be a bit better because you can still get all the players you want, but there's going to be a penalty if you want to build a quote unquote super team. And I think that'll kind of help alleviate some things. And I think people would appreciate that. But I feel like a luxury tax is going to come with a lot of controversy. I don't know what your opinions are on that idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's already like kind of tax systems in place for baseball. Not as intense nearly as other sports, but I think, yeah, I think I could see that being a much more realistic option than a hard cap, because that system's kind of sort of in place already. But I think the less regulation up at the top of the salad, the better. The better for the players, better for the fans, better for baseball.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why, although there are people who hate not having a salary cap, that is what makes baseball fun because then you get trade deadlines like this that you
Yeah.
don't get anywhere else, or you get off-season signings that are just wild, like paying Shohei Otani $700 million and deferring 99% of it.
Yeah, nuts. That I think is something that will definitely change during the new CBA. There's going to be,
Yeah,
I think both sides will be like, maybe we shouldn't do this whole deferment thing. Maybe that's a little wonky.
yeah, because then you can go out and sign even more players and not having to get that cap hit until their contract is officially over. They did that with Teoscar Hernandez too when they got him.
Mhm.
Um, I want to quickly, just for a couple seconds, go back to the Angels because I made I think I've talked about this graphic that I made at the start of the season, the Angels seasonal cycle. You do well in spring training and the beginning of the year, then your players get hurt and your team goes on a big losing streak. We did have players get injured, but we didn't go on that big of a losing streak. We're just kind of off and on. But we are now at the point of the cycle where you make win now trades at the deadline to stay in the wild card race. So
Yep.
my
You're
seasonal
totally right.
cycle is like spot on, and after this, we will lose a majority of our remaining games and miss the playoffs, and then we are back at square one.
Yeah, and I mean they're 2 games under 500 right now as it is. So technically they're in the wild card race, but they'd have to jump 5 teams to get to that third wild card spot. And you're
Yeah,
right, they did kind of soft buy. Like the only real moves they made is they traded for Luis Garcia and Andrew Chafin from the Nationals. Those are two major league relievers, and they gave up a couple, Jake Heater and Sam Bradford, minor league guys. And then obviously you get Peraza, another major league guy, and you trade away not much in a minor league outfield, but still, you traded away some guys from your minor leagues to get major league guys for the rest of this season, which I just don't understand. I just don't understand. It's not like the Angels don't have anyone that they could sell, but they operate differently than any other team, and it's not in a good way. And I think it was a foolish Bailey tweet that I saw, a foolish baseball tweet that I saw today about how the Angels value past top prospects so much more than any other team in baseball, right? They got Moncada for this year. Peraza is one of those guys that fits in the loop. There's just been so many types of players like that the Angels always seem to scoop up guys who were big time prospects and then did not work out at the major league level. And then the Angels say, maybe we can make them work. And it most of the time really doesn't work for them. But clearly their evaluation process, they're much higher on those types of guys than other teams throughout baseball. I don't really know why. And I don't think it's a winning formula.
Yeah, like the Angels is like the retirement home
Yeah.
for major leaguers. Like Yohan Moncada is there, like you said. When I saw, or Travis d'Arnaud was another guy that we got. I'm like, okay, we're just getting guys who were pretty decent. Like you can rely on them to do good, but they're kind of at the latter stages of their career that it's really hit or miss. It's a day-to-day basis with them. Like you don't know if they're going to be good or bad. Um, yeah, it's I it's hard not to blame ownership as an Angels fan. Like Perry has been a GM to say the least. He's been doing stuff. Art Moreno, he's a character. I don't know who's worth. Just, who is a worse owner, Fisher or Moreno? I mean that's a fight I want to see.
Yeah. Not good. Not good either one. Not who you want to be running your team. That's for sure.
Yeah, Angels are 4 games out of the wild card. The Rangers are holding that last spot, 2.5 games ahead of the Guardians, 57 and 52. They are tied with the Mariners, but the Mariners hold a tiebreaker. I believe or it might be it might be the Rangers that hold that tiebreaker. But either way, they're tied on that fifth and sixth spot, and then it's the Red Sox and the Yankees. So if the Angels want to do good, they have to do well in these divisional games against the Rangers and the Mariners. They kind of have to hope they do bad, and as long as the Angels do well in their divisional games, which they lost the series to the Rangers, I believe they lost the series to the Mariners. Like you're already off to a very bad spot. But 4 games out isn't the worst, as you have about a month, like 2 months left, a month and a
Yeah,
half left.
just about 2 months. You got all of August and all of September.
Yeah, so it is definitely doable. But I mean, I have been semi watching the Angels for the last, I'd say, like 6-ish years, and I'd say 3 or 4 out of those 6 has been this exact situation where you
Mm-hmm.
do pretty good in the start, you start losing, you make some pretty good trades, and then you give your fans a false sense of hope, and you just crash and burn.
Yep. I actually just saw the Angels last night. I was at Angel Stadium
Oh,
and watched them fail to sweep the Rangers, and it was some ugly baseball being played. I won't lie, but yeah, they have a respectable core like that they're trying to build, but they just like every year they don't have any top of the line starters. They have a bunch of guys who you would feel good about being a four in a rotation, but that's kind of it. And then they have no bullpen whatsoever.
yep.
And it's just been that way for it feels like since Trout came to town. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying like like everyone always says, like, oh, you're an Angels fan. What do you think the word like? What do they need to fix? I'm like, it's the bullpen. Like our starters could be better. Our lineup as a whole could be better, but it's really our relievers because there's always more times than not we're up like 2-0 or 3-1 against a team. Then we put in our reliever, and then they give up like 6 straight hits. Oh, you
Whoa,
made a
sorry,
reaction.
breaking news. This is totally different. Speaking of, this is a trade deadline, but it's the wrong sport.
Oh,
Terry McLaurin just requested a trade from
no,
the from
whoa,
the Commanders.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's
Wow.
stop talking about baseball for a second.
I hate to interrupt, but that's totally crazy. Oh my God.
Whoa. Damn, so they couldn't get a contract deal done. Wow. That is crazy.
No,
Wait, can we do a swap? I mean, as a 49ers fan, we gave them Debo. Can we get Terry?
that would be
Can
hysterical.
we get that? Can we do that?
Jeez, yeah, I mean, who's the wide receiver depth chart then for the Commanders?
I would assume Debo is number 1 now.
Oh God, that's not who you want an old
Yeah,
Debo
I
kind of
mean, as
down
a
last
command,
couple of years. Let's see, it's Debo, and then Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey after Terry McLaurin. That's who you got. Ouch.
wow.
Wow, that takes you from, one of the best wide receiver ones, and Debo as a wide receiver two is still one of the best wide receiver twos. But if you have to go down a notch in that depth chart for everybody, that becomes one of the weaker wide receiver rooms in the NFL. Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
There's
got.
something in the air today, Angel, about these trades.
Yeah, I
They're
don't.
everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know because you go from a team that really had the chance to make the Super Bowl and made a great run in the playoffs with their rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, and to go out and get Debo Samuel and just build on upon this pretty young core to now losing your star wide receiver. And now, like you said, you got Debo, Noah Brown, and then it's Luke McCaffrey and Michael Gallup. There is a pretty big drop off. You still have
Yeah.
Zach Ertz, but he is a shell of his former self.
Yeah. I mean,
That is
that's pretty wild.
wow. Okay, yeah, this is the podcast episode of all time. This is
A whole lot of trades. A whole lot of trades. That really is crazy. Oh my gosh.
All
I'm
right.
happy I've had Twitter up in the background this whole time just in case. I got the alert. I was like, whoa.
That is crazy. Yeah, there it is. Scary Terry trending on Twitter. Of course, they put him in a Steelers uniform. Always the Steelers.
Oh God.
It's always the Steelers who are. Oh, we're gonna get like with the Brandon Ayuk stuff. The Steelers thought we're getting Ayuk. The Debo stuff, we're getting Debo, and then they get DK.
The Steelers will be 9-8 no matter what they do. I mean, well, especially with Rodgers. I mean, this could be the year that they actually finally finish below 500. But I have faith in Mike Tomlin. He is going to claw his way to 9 wins. If no matter what. But there's not enough talent on that team. Not even close to enough talent to like be higher than a 7 seed. Like the best they can do is 9-8. And maybe if they somehow get McLaurin, it takes them from 8-9 to 9-8, or from 9-8 to 10-7, maybe. But their ceiling goes from losing the wild card round to losing in the wild card round. I don't know. Yeah, no needle is moved there.
No, yeah, you go from a 9-8 team to a 8-1.
Yeah.
Or 8-1 to 9-8. Like you're going from like here to here. Like it's not that big of a jump. Yeah, I don't. This is crazy. Is something else gonna happen? What is LeBron gonna request a trade next? What's gonna happen?
I mean, geez, that's crazy. That's certainly the biggest news since we started recording. The Brewers also got Jordan Montgomery from the Diamondbacks since the time that we started recording. Not quite the same thing as McLaurin. But there's another trade. There's another trade for you. But yeah, right. Scary Terry's trending on Twitter.
Yeah, they got Brewers got Montgomery and Shelby Miller from the Diamondbacks. So the Diamondbacks are selling too. I mean, teams that you would not
They're full sell. Yeah.
Teams that you would not expect to be selling. Like if you were to tell me at the first month of the season that the that the Twins and the
Yeah,
Diamondbacks were going to be sellers, I would not. I would not believe you because they were pretty good to start the year.
they were really good. It's just they got totally screwed with injuries. I mean, they lost a
Yeah.
lot of guys, especially in that starting rotation. Burns, who they paid so much money for to get, and was such an awesome move. Him going down so early, like really, really hurt them. And it's a shame because they still have a top. They scored the sixth most runs in baseball. The offense is still humming, but 25th in ERA. They just never had the pitching to deal with it. So now they traded away Merrill Kelly. They traded away Randall Grichuk. They traded away Josh Naylor. I mean, it's been tough. And now Montgomery, obviously Suarez. It's a shame because love the D-backs, love what they put together. But I think this is more of a, retooling for them because they still have a lot of that young talent. Uh, a lot of those guys that they traded away were on expiring contracts. So I get that from the D-back perspective, a little more so than the Twins, who a lot of the guys the Twins let up were like controllable and were there could have been a Twin for the next 2-3 years. That is the thing to me that's really great, great.
Yeah. I I I don't know about you, but I think we can move past MLB just slightly. If a big trade happens, we will definitely go back. But the NFL season is starting soon. So I thought, preseason starts up next Saturday. I want to, might as well just, dip our toes in the water a little bit and start
I
talking
like it.
about NFL a little bit for maybe the next 15, 20 minutes as we kind of phase out and calm down. Because a
Yes,
lot of stuff happened, especially now with that Terry McLaurin news. I mean, what?
good transition.
Yeah, you are a Giants fan, correct?
I certainly am.
I I was in a Twitch chat and someone said that the Giants were making the playoff, that Russell Wilson will take the Giants to the playoffs this year. And I told them that they are delusional. I
Yeah,
want to hear your thoughts on that.
I do think that the Giants are going to be. The Giants are so much more talented this
Oh
year
yeah, for
than they
sure.
were last year. Oh my God! And again, the upgrade from Daniel Jones and Drew Lock and you know uh, Tommy DeVito at quarterback to Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and hopefully not, but maybe Jackson Dart. That cannot be overstated. That's such a giant upgrade. Uh, and I do think that they're going to be a really pesky team that a lot of these good teams aren't going to want to play. I think they'll steal a win from a good team here or there, but I have no faith in them making the playoffs, partially because they have literally the most, in terms of the past year's strength of schedule, in terms of past year's record, they have the hardest schedule out of any team has had in the last 5 years, which is ridiculous because they were a last place team last year, so they should have a last place schedule, but they just got totally screwed because they're playing the AFC West this year, and the 49ers, who were last place, are going to be really good. The Bears, who were last place, are going to be really good, and they're playing the NFC North too. They have. I mean, I'll just read through this schedule really quickly: Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, Saints, Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, 49ers, Bears, Packers, Lions, Patriots, Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, Cowboys. I mean, besides like the Raiders and the Saints and maybe the Patriots and maybe the Vikings, like they're going to be favored in maybe 2 games this year because of just how brutal that schedule is. So I think that's going to kind of hold them back from actually competing for a playoff spot. But that said, I think they're going to be in pretty much every game this year, if not because that defensive line is, I think, the best defensive line in football. You look at this depth chart that they've got going, and it's Dexter Lawrence, best nose tackle in football. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. Now you still have Kayvon Thibodeau. That's That is really, really exciting. Those four names. And it's going to disrupt a lot. Even the best team. It's going to disrupt a lot of plays and make things very difficult. So I think that defensive line. I think the floor is raised pretty high just because of that, but not playoff high. God no.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned your Giants having the hardest strength of schedule. I just pulled up the stats for that. So the Giants do have the hardest strength of schedule for this upcoming season. Their opponent win percentage last season was 574. So that, and my Niners. So you go from a team that was like one of the arguably the worst team in football last year to now having the hardest strength of schedule to a team that took the Chiefs to overtime in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They now have the easiest strength of schedule. My San Francisco 49ers opponent win percentage this year, as of their last seasons, 415.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Wow.
And guess what? The Super Bowl this year is in Santa Clara. We're going to the Super
Oh
Bowl.
boy. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
We play the Seahawks, Saints, Cardinals, Jaguars, Rams, Buccaneers, Falcons, Texans, your Giants, the Rams, the Cardinals, Panthers, Browns, Titans, Colts, Bears, and then we ended off with the Seahawks.
Oh my God. I mean, besides the Rams, like there's not one team that you're scared of in that entire 17 game schedule. That's crazy.
Yeah, the only ones I'm really scared of, who I think could take a game are the Buccaneers, because we're going to be playing in Tampa.
Okay.
The Texans were playing in Houston, and then maybe, the Rams and possibly the. Yeah, I'm not scared of the Seahawks anymore. They lost everyone.
It's really crazy how, like, right. I mean, how I was saying the Giants are going to be favored, maybe in 2 games this year because of that schedule. Opposite for the 49ers, right? They're going to be favored in probably all but 2 or 3 or 4 because of even if both of these teams were just league average, right? If both of these teams were predicted to just be mid-tier teams, which I think the Giants are below that and the 49ers are above, but even if they were just predicted to be 500 teams, it would still be that they'd be favored for the 49ers in just about every single game. That's wild.
Yes.
I mean, you got to take advantage of that. If I'm the 49ers front office and I'm looking at that, I'm saying, how can we go as all in as possible for this year? Because this is the chance to, you set yourself up, try and get a high seed, and make yourself have an easy path to a potential Super Bowl. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, you lose Debo. You give Ayuk a contract extension. Brock Purdy is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So your Super Bowl window is slowly closing. I'd say if they don't get it this year, they have to make some big moves to keep it open. But if they don't make and win the Super Bowl this year, I think that window is just about shut.
Especially with the age. I mean, they're probably the oldest team in football, and that's why the only thing that's going to stop you guys this year from winning the division and competing for a championship is injuries because of who those guys are. Right? Like McCaffrey, obviously, guys like Kittle or Juwan Jennings, or a lot of those guys in the trenches, whether on the offensive and defensive line. It's just Fred Warner. I mean, it's just a lot of age there, even though they're all really talented. You need the dice to kind of land in your favor with the injury luck. But if it does, and you are in one piece, they're still one of the most talented teams in football.
Yeah, and I mean, we lost a lot of people to free agency this year. 2 of the biggest names, we lost Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, both to the Broncos. We still have to pay Fred Warner, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings. He's the biggest one because George Kittle and Fred Warner are going to stay. I mean, I don't think, even if there's contract disputes, they're going to want to get a deal done. They want to be a 49er for life. But with Juwan Jennings, he's literally came out and said, or his agent said, if they don't get a deal done, he's going to request a trade. So we could lose Jawan Jennings as well, and then all we have is Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall, who was shot. And
Yeah.
so I mean he did good when he came back, but I mean he's Ricky Pearsall I don't trust as much as a second option. I really love Jawan as the second. Ricky
Yeah.
Pearsall is a good third.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I think that's a great 1, 2, 3 for right now. Ayuk, Jennings, Pearsall, like that's a very comfortable. Like you definitely have a one. Jennings, when he's been the two, when Debo was out last season, Jennings absolutely stepped up and was a great two for the Niners. And then yeah, I like Pearsall as like a speedy three guy, and yet you drafted with Jacob Cowing is the rookie who's coming
I
in, who
believe so. Yeah.
I think he could be. I think he's a kind of a Pearsall esque kind of player as well, who could definitely provide a spark as like a wide receiver four. So I like that, but you kind of need all of those guys. You can't lose one. I get kind of like the Commanders actually. Like if you have to move everybody one slot up the depth chart, all of a sudden it feels really light.
Yeah. It, yeah, Jawan Jennings. It's funny the 49ers fans, we always call him third and Jawan because every third and long you throw it to Jawan Jennings and every single time, kid you not, he catches it and we convert. So losing him would be detrimental to the offense, especially for those third and longs. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they do. Last year they were injured a ton, so I have that one on, one off kind of rule with them. Last year they were off, so this year they should hopefully be healthy. But obviously we'll see what happens. If they're healthy, I think the Niners are going to be favorites to kind of make that push. But if they're injured, definitely going to be one of the bottom tier teams. As for your Giants, I'm gonna be honest. When they got Jameis Winston before Russell Wilson, I was like, oh my god, yes, give me Jameis Winston in a starting role with the New York Football Giants. And then they got Russell Wilson, which I was like, damn, I wanted to see Jameis get his time to shine. But Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston is like honestly a really solid quarterback room.
Yeah. I mean, especially coming from what they had. Like, I think there's absolutely a world, and I kind of have like a fantasy football mind too. I'm getting ready in
Oh
that in
yeah.
that mindset over the next few weeks. But like Malik Neighbors, like wide receiver one, is absolutely a possibility for this year. Like the talent that he showed last year. I mean, he got like 1,200 yards with again Drew Lock, Danny Dimes, and Tommy DeVito. I mean, the worst of the worst of the worst. He was still one of the best wide receivers in football. So Russell Wilson, his whole thing now is kind of just a pretty good, accurate down the field passer. That's kind of what he can do at this point in his career. That's all Neighbors needs. I mean, that is going to be such a blessing for him. So you have that. You throw in Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo. I think a really fun combo of young running backs. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Again, I don't think they're going to win a ton of games, but I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, they are going to be really fun, and they're such like they're a memey team, if you will. I mean, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston on the same team together.
Yeah,
I can't I
definitely.
can't wait for the media day videos with them.
Oh my God. It's funny already. Like there have been so many quotes at a training camp from players that are like, oh my gosh, like Russell Wilson and to a lesser extent James was like the best leader that I've ever seen. Wow. And everyone's like, just think of how bad it was last year. If these guys are saying how amazing
Yeah,
Russell Wilson is, just like because of how atrocious the quarterback room was last year. So I'm very happy to have a real quarterback room again. It's such a blessing.
yeah. Before we end it, hold on, I'm gonna see if there's any big MLB trades.
I
None that
think we're in the clear.
I think we are in the clear. There might be some that come out once we stop recording, but hopefully they aren't huge. Like Mike Trout is dealt to the Athletics or something. Like hopefully it's nothing too crazy. But let's kind of I'll jumble this question into one since we're kind of on the home stretch for the MLB season, and we are still way too early to know who will win the Super Bowl. Who are your favorites now after the deadline to kind of be in the World Series, and who are your favorites to be in the Super Bowl?
Good, good question. I think I think my team in and I'll give you. I'll try and keep it to one or two knacks from both leagues. I think from the National League, it's hard to not say the Dodgers still because of just how deep that lineup is, and they did go and get some bullpen help. I, you can't count them out. But I'm going to throw the Phillies out there as well. I think getting Duran finally securing a closer is exactly what they needed this year. And they still have, I think, the best playoff rotation in baseball because you got guys like Wheeler and Nola. So I think Dodgers, Phillies. And then in the American League, I think I'm going to throw out the Tigers and the Astros now. As much as I hate to say it, I think the Astros got so much better today. You bring in that veteran presence again with Correa, who can now kind of play third base with Pena at shortstop. I think that's really exciting. Jordan Alvarez hasn't really played for them at all this year. He's been hurt, but he's going to come back in like September, and they're in first place anyway. So I think Astros and the Tigers, because you have Skubal, who's going to be the best pitcher for any team in the playoffs. I think that just gives you such an edge in a short series. The fact that he can go twice, and then now the real hard thing is football. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, Angel. I think I'm gonna throw out. I mean, it's hard to not say the Eagles again, just because they kept most everybody, and they are just such a totally loaded roster. So I'll say Eagles and Ravens. I think it's the year. Maybe this is the year the Ravens get it
Okay.
done. I'll say those two teams for the NFL, but with a big old asterisk for that.
Yeah, you got the two birds going up against each other.
Yep.
Um, let's see. For the MLB, it's so hard for the AL. I think the Astros, as much as I hate it, I think they are gonna be making that push. And honestly, I think I'd say the Yankees. The Yankees are
I
still the
like that.
Yankees.
I
Um,
didn't want to, be too hovery and say the Yankees, but part of me, I really do believe
no,
that
I
the
mean
Yankees
it's
could
your team.
absolutely make it. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean they although they are having struggles, I mean they are still the Yankees. I mean if
Yeah.
the Dodgers are struggling, I mean you're not going to count the Dodgers out, right?
Definitely.
As for the NL, there's four teams I think all have a chance, especially after the deadline, but I will try to dumb it down to two. I think the Mets I think the Mets can still do great things. They almost beat the Dodgers. We almost had a Subway Series World Series. I really wanted that to happen. I think the Mets, and honestly, I'm gonna say the Phillies. I think the Mets, knowing from going from last year and the trades that the acquisitions they made at the deadline, I think the Mets can go out and beat the Dodgers, and I think the Phillies just edge out the Padres for me. I think the Phillies are way more of a like a sound team. It's just the chemistry just feels there. Everyone knows their place. Everyone knows how to work with each other. The Padres just seem a little too um, disconnected to me.
Mhm.
It just seems like every season it's like okay they're good, but they don't seem like a team. To me, the Phillies. I mean, no pun intended, but I mean they are in the city of brotherly love, so it only makes sense that they feel like a team. But yeah, I think for me, AL Astros Yankees, NL Mets Phillies.
I like it.
As for the Super Bowl, as much as I want the Bills to make it, it's so hard to count out Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
hmm
And as a 49ers fan, I really hate to say it, but you got to tip your cap when respect is due. So I'll say the Chiefs. And, I would have said Commanders, but now with Terry McLaurin wanting out, it's kind
Yeah.
of hard.
I gotta
Um,
agree.
I think, the Eagles are good, but I think the 49ers are still better than the Eagles. Um, I don't want to be biased, but I really do think the 49ers have a chance this year. I mean, we've beaten the Lions before when healthy. We've beaten the Eagles when healthy. I think we can beat the Commanders. I think the Commanders are the scariest out of all of them just because they're so young and quick.
Yeah, no, I think, if you told me that every NFL team was going to be healthy this year, right? Like, as far as we know right now, everybody's healthy. I think the 49ers are a totally reasonable pick to make it. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, so there's my pick. We got the trilogy, 49ers and Chiefs in Santa Clara this time. So hopefully home field advantage will help. But yeah, I think that will do it for us here with the Beyond the Sideline podcast. We just hit the hour mark. So
Perfect. I love it.
that's always good. Jake, thank you for coming on as always. It's always nice to talk to you about sports and all that, especially this episode. This episode was, although it was very all over the place, it was a lot of fun.
Action-packed. Yeah, I'm blessed.
But yeah, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. You can find the rest of the episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure to listen into all of those because although they aren't as action-packed as this one, we still do have a lot of fun every time we come on and talk. The last episode we did with Mac, that was the longest episode we did, and it was really fun getting to talk with him and having a kind of a third opinion, if you will. But with that, thank you all so much once again for listening, and we hope you come back for the next episode.